now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run, the Manny Wilson podcast.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. We got a great episode for you today. I got my guy, Robert Prasch from Creating Greatness Podcast. He's joining us on the first interactive sports podcast, community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something we talking about, you hear something I say, he say, go ahead, shoot us a call, leave a voicemail, 219-413-9405, and we will play your take back, and I'll respond to it, and I'll even bring him back so he can respond to it. But Robert, man, how's it going, bro? This is long overdue. I've been waiting to talk about this. You've been waiting to talk about this. How's it been going with you, man?
Hey, man, I'm blessed.
I love to hear it.
Life is fabulous. Family is thriving. And we've been working on this back and forth, emailing and cooking this thing hot. So very excited to join you today and finally get it done, man. Yes, sir.
Hey, well, let's do it, man. Hey, I got the topics laid out. I got all the things we want to talk about. And if you clicked on this episode already, you clearly know we're talking about Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, the living legend. And we kind of put together this episode to go over the things that he's reminded us throughout the season. The spotlight has been on him over these past few months, coaching football and throughout his career as well. So I kind of want to touch on these things. But Robert, man, right off the bat, there's a quote. It kind of broke the internet. It really hit me because, I strike myself as a confident young man. So it kind of hit me. And one of the things the quote said, this is what it said, to be exact, said, don't let my confidence offend your insecurities. And a lot of times people lack confidence in the comfort within their confidence. So I just want to kind of pick your brain a little bit. Where do you think the confidence comes from in general? I want to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, confidence can only come from one place, in my opinion, Manny, and that is inside of you. And a lot of times people make the mistake of, you can look at prime time and maybe people think, oh, if I get the glasses, if I get the hoodie, if I get the right shoes, and all those things can definitely support a confidence mindset when you're entering a room and you want to look a certain way to help you feel a certain way so that you perform a particular way. But in my experience, getting into tune with yourself, really accepting everything about yourself, and I mean the goods and the bads, even if there's things about yourself that you don't particularly like, or if you're not performing as high as you would like in a certain aspect of your life, or even if it's something that you're embarrassed or ashamed of, that's okay. It's okay. At least you're recognizing where you're at and you're accepting that about yourself.
Facts.
And you can go from there. And once you've accepted even your worst stuff, then you can start to play to your strengths, work on your weaknesses. But that acceptance is key because the acceptance is going to bring comfort. And when you walk into a space and you're not jittery, you're not anxious, you're not worried because you're comfortable in who you are and what you're doing, then it really doesn't matter. The confidence will come naturally with that comfort.
Because you're comfortable within your skin. You're comfortable with yourself as well. You know what? That's very valid. And then another thing too, you kind of touched on it just for a quick second, but I want to add to this element there. A lot of times you got to do the work to be comfortable in your skin. And I also think whatever you're trying to be good at, whenever you're working at it, that gives you more confidence too. Whatever you're doing in the dark, and when it's time to perform, in this case of a sport, like if you're playing basketball, football, baseball, hockey, soccer, anything that you do, or even if you're just giving a conference, like you're leading a conference, you're leading a call, if you've been prepping for it, you've been doing work in the dark, when it's time for game time, for you to actually give that speech, for you to actually play in the game, you're going to be more confident because you done did it 1,000 different times. So that's another aspect, where I feel like when you work on yourself in any aspect that you're trying to achieve something in, you're going to be confident. Now, one of the things too, is I've noticed with Deion Sanders, a lot of times when through the ups and downs of the season, his confidence has stayed high, which I love. That's one of the things that's amazing. And I envy that because I want to be that way as well. I want to stay confident regardless if my content is good, bad, whatever. I always strive for good content. But long story short, I'm trying to say when someone is confidence. How do they gain comfort in that without feeling as if they're arrogant or someone who's like airheaded?
Well, I think the number one thing with that is quiet, being quiet, because arrogance is loud and confidence is quiet, stoic. And one of the major differences for me is the way that we treat other people, because confidence is encouraging others to do the same, encouraging others to be the best that they could possibly be without the fear that maybe they'll be better than you. Because I'm confident in my, what am I worrying about what you do? If you do better, I'm going to do better. Right. Because, we talked about this before we were recording. There's no evolution in holding each other down.
Facts. Ain't nobody getting nowhere if you holding each other down.
Right. We grow by helping each other, building. If there's no one in the stars, there's nowhere to shoot for. Nobody sees that it can be done. We need people like Prime Time.
Facts.
That's breaking barriers and breaking records and doing things that have never been done, because it shows the rest of us that it's possible. And people like that have been celebrated throughout history. But he would be hating on Prime Time, boy.
Facts. Hey, I'm already knowing. Hey, we gonna get there too.
He's stepping on some toes, but the big difference, and I'm with this, is confidence is encouraging your brothers and sisters, and arrogance is hating on them, wanting to keep secrets, wanting to hoard knowledge and gatekeep. That's arrogance, and it's also it's fear and it's pathetic. But confidence is quiet. Arrogance is loud. Confidence encourages folks. Arrogance tries to hate on people.
Man, I love that breakdown of quiet and loud, because that is, thinking about it and listening to you talk about that, whenever I think of guys that I've met or women that I've met, whoever, people in general, however they identify themselves, whenever I've met an arrogant person and a confident person, there is that slight difference in, all right, this person's, he's confident in his work, or they're confident in their work, but they're not flaunting it. They're not trying to hold others down and be the only one with that type of success. So, man, that's game right there. I like that. And as you mentioned too, we got to transition into it. You mentioned people be hating on Prime Time, man. We seen Deion Sanders. He decided to go to a different sector of the collegiate level. He started off at an HBCU at Jackson State University as the head coach, changed the game there, changed that entire program, which was amazing. And so many people loved him for that. People was giving the man props every single day about how great it is, how much he's changing the game. But when he left to go to a bigger and better stage, that's when we seen a lot of people kind of turn on him, hate on him, throw him under the bus a little bit, as if what he did is invalid now. Now, this makes me think of, whenever you're trying to go for something bigger and better, there's always that thing or one, whatever it is, trying to hold somebody back. So what is it that can help people move forward instead of looking back when they're elevating to the next level and the next thing in their life?
Well, I think one thing about all of that, and it's like when you do things like Primetime's doing and you make major moves in your life, and you become that game changer that man truly is. There's some people that were profiting off the way the game was.
Ooh,
like that.
That's facts.
And people are higher up than us, even higher than Primetime. So they can throw shade, they can start gossip, they can start media campaigns against him. They can use subterfuge through his organization. And, there's all multitudes of things that they could do because he's breaking boundaries in that industry. He's doing things that are maybe hurting some people's pockets. And then there's others like those, the people in Colorado that he's filling there. The businesses are doing better. The college is doing better. Yep. So there's that back and forth. As far as looking back, we talked about staying locked in. And I know it's a phrase nowadays that people use, and I don't think they really know where it comes from. I won't talk about it right now, but I'll talk to you.
You got to tell me off camera, because I don't think I know either. So you got to tell me.
Yeah, man, it's just prison terminology is what it is. It's pretty funny.
I was not hip. If you want, we can get sidetracked just for a quick second. If you want to explain it, no, but you don't have to. No pressure.
Locked in is a terminology from prison, and a lot of terminology, a lot of music, a lot of culture come out of prison and spread throughout society. because a lot of the folks are getting out, and some of them, like myself, are totally rearranging their lives and becoming righteous, productive citizens. When you do that, it doesn't mean you lose your cool, And locked in is a phrase that people use when there's a problem. And it's not something spontaneous. It's not something that happens out of anger. It's something that happens in a planned way. And it's to be done away from eyes and cameras. And they say, all right, let's lock in. And then there's no eyes but the folks involved. And that's locked in. So locked in is legitimately being locked in.
That's new information to me, bro. Hey, I'm finna change the whole way that I use that term.
It's not anything like that. It's people that want to fight. It's people that want to fight.
Okay. All right. That's okay.
It's used like if there's a disagreement. It's nothing. All that stuff is actually very much perpetuated upon society as something. It's really just movies. There's so much consensual things happening. We don't want to get that sidetracked. That's not really a thing. It's used for fighting as a disagreement at the card table, domino table, fighting over the TV, the shower, whatever. Okay, let's lock in. It's violence. It's not.
Okay. All right. Hey, well, a little history lesson there. A little history lesson for the folks, but let's come back. Let's go ahead. I'll let you finish back on the question. Go ahead.
Looking back, how do we move forward with what we want to do when there are things that we've done, right? And a lot of people get trapped in that past. But here's the thing to focus on. We should look back. We should analyze. We should analyze our behaviors, analyze conversations. Could we have done it better? Should we behave differently? Where can we tweak things to do better next time? How can we win?
Right.
That is a purposeful thought, and it is a beneficial way of viewing things. There's a whole other way of looking back that is not, where you're trapped inside a conversation, trapped inside an event, trapped inside something maybe that you regret or you've done that you're not proud of. And overplaying that constantly, it takes you out of the present. And once you've thoroughly analyzed and examined it, and you've learned all you can learn from it, then move on. And the way to do that is just bring it back to the now and bring it back to the task at hand, what you are doing. When you focus on what you're doing, that's the most important thing. And if it's not the most important thing, then move on to the next. And try to feel life. It's something that I try to do because I'm very caught up in my mind as well. And a lot of times I can get stuck in the past or get negative. But if I bring myself back to the task at hand and try to feel how life is, not think about how it is, that helps me a lot.
Yeah, and that's valid, man. I feel like that's very normal, and that's a good strategy to use. And I like the example you use of having two types of looking back and being in the past, because you want to learn from your mistakes. But if you never look back at the past, you'll never be able to learn from your mistakes. So, that's dope, and that's game right there. I love that. And this kind of makes me think too. One of the things that Deion Sanders has done, and that's been glorified, is expanding kids' horizons, like bringing all of these big old celebrities and just showing that, you can have an impact outside of football. You can do this if you want to. You can do that, like exposing students to more than just football and celebrities and stuff. And I know a lot of that stuff happens behind the scenes as well, but I personally believe that it's very important that people understand there's no limitations placed upon them besides the ones they place upon themselves. But I just want to hear your thoughts on, when a person has their horizons expanded and their limitations expanded and the chains break off pretty much. I just want to hear your thoughts on that.
No, it's uber important. First of all, the reason why I reached out to you about wanting to do this show was looking at Deion and what he's doing for those young men and women, because people are working for him and helping them out. Everyone involved.
Facts. Yep.
Off the field, man.
Facts.
He has all these elevated standards that don't need to be there. No slides in the classroom, no sagging pants, opening doors for your professors and fellow students.
Same socks. Same. All the little things. He got the little things tallied up.
These guys, if they never make it to the NFL, they're going to come out of that program good men. And the world needs more good men.
Facts.
So that's why I really asked you, hey, man, let's do this, because me and you work very well together. We have different genres of podcasts, but this was somewhere where I felt like, yeah, we could get in and have a great conversation. But it is uber important for someone to show, like we talked about, the rest of the world that these things can be done. You know, they did an experiment with fleas, and just hear me out here.
Right.
They put them in a jar and let them breed or whatever, took care of them so they breed. Now, the fleas that they caught were regular fleas. They could jump, 20 feet in the air.
Mm-hmm.
But the babies could only hit the top of the lid. When they let them fleas out, those baby fleas could never jump higher than the lid of that jar.
Because the cap was on her.
Right. But even when they were out of it, and we're not fleas, I understand that. But we're human beings, and we also learn from our parents and our people that we look up to, like sports figures, our grandparents, our ancestors. And if over the course of time, we're hating on people like this, we're not supporting people like this, we don't have people like this to shoot for, to show us that it is possible, we're doing a disservice to the generations to come.
That's facts.
What would happen was that if someone that Deion is mentoring right now ends up exceeding his level in play or coaching or mentorship, then someone under his tutelage does the same, and on and on and on. Man, where could this thing go if we all were doing this?
All the way to the moon.
But then the flip side of that, where are we going to go if nobody's doing that? Then all the limitations, the perceived, because we really have no true understanding of what the human mind is capable of, or what the human physicality is capable of. You see phenoms in certain sports accomplishing amazing feats, but for the daily human being, it's very far from what we're experiencing.
Right.
We are human beings, just like those folks are. And maybe we can't run a 4-minute mile or dunk a basketball or be prime time, because that's like a 1 in a million or maybe 1 in a billion.
Right.
I guarantee you have natural talents that make something easier for you than it is for other folks. Do that, man, and get to be the best at like whatever it is. Like it could be hammering a nail, dude. Be the best one ever. A legend of hammering nails.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's just an example. Like me with podcasting, I know I'm not the best, but I will be. Because I work diligently every single day. And I have to hold that mentality with the balance of confidence and not arrogance.
Man, that's facts, bro. You spoke a lot of facts right there. And man, one of the things that I kind of want to drift off into is you saying how, you putting in the work for everything, and it just makes me think about the consistency. So when you're constantly striving for better, trying to reach over the cap because you see other inspirations out there, there are no limitations. So you're trying to constantly get to the next level and stuff. How important is that consistency? Because I love consistency, and that's, to me, tells me if a person is serious or not. Like, I look at you as a serious podcaster because I know you're consistent. I know you work hard at your craft, and I see the consistency within your work within podcasting. So I look at it as, all right, he's actually serious. And I kind of take that same mentality into everything else. So whether I'm going to the gym or whether I don't know, it don't matter what I'm doing. Anytime I'm dealing with another person and they're serious about something, that's the first thing I'm gonna look at is how consistent are they in the thing they claim is important to them. So I just want to hear your thoughts on how important is that consistency when you're trying to accomplish anything.
I think consistency is just key. And it's not just whether you're chasing a dream of athletics or podcasting or whatever it may be. It's just in life, like as you said, consistency in the gym, consistency in my relationship with my wife, consistency in the rules that I set and the way that I treat my children, consistency in the way that I take care of my house and the way that I take care of my body. I mean, it literally can go down to the most minute of things, and that's good because those minute of things add up to the big things, right?
Facts. Yep, little by little.
Recently, I've been doing a positive masculinity challenge, and involved in that challenge is like 30 days, no social media, something that I've been doing for a very long time, but it's also part of the challenge that I think is worth mentioning is like no pornography, no masturbation.
Right.
working out every day for 30 days straight, doing work stuff and family stuff. It's just a long list of things, right?
Right.
So the 30 days every day of working out is like way new to me, dude, because I always take days off. So it's all that other stuff that I mentioned was relatively easy because it's all things I was already doing.
Right.
The working out, I take days off, man. And something that I noticed like it's not true that you can't work out every day. You just work out different body parts. And
that's true.
It has made a difference. So because I'm now working out every day, I'm now analyzing other areas of my life where maybe I'm wasting time or not performing up to my expectations for myself. Because high expectations is also a secret of high performance. And I thought back about when I used to work for a living. Now, I made quite a bit of money just by able to go in, analyze a process, and shave a few seconds off that process. And the reason for that was those seconds throughout the course of a day added up to minutes. Right. Those minutes during the day throughout the week added up to hours, and so on, to where now you're talking about $1 million or so at the end of the year that I just saved your company by shaving off seconds, man. Right. So now I start thinking about that in the terms of life. And I go, man, you're looking at social. I mean, that's another thing that was good for me. I use a social media for my podcast, but yeah, I can get trapped. We all can. And I go, well, you're wasting a half hour to an hour a day on social media. You're watching an hour and a half of TV every night. You know, you're randomly moving around and not really accomplishing things because you're not being direct for about 5-10 minutes a day. So now that I'm starting to shave these minutes off other areas, my performance is skyrocketed in almost every aspect of my life. And things have gotten easier for me. You know, ideas are coming to my brain easier. I'm interacting back and forth with my wife easier, and that's flowing. Everything's sort of falling into a flow state, and that's all due to consistency, man.
Right. Man, that's dope, man. And one of the things, too, I want to talk about, I know we've been talking a lot about evolution and just like evolving as an individual. I tend to think, in the way that I've been experiencing things, is like when you get on that road to evolving as a person and even evolving at your craft, I think, you know, isolation is a part that plays a role in that. Like anybody trying to seriously accomplish anything, you know, has to isolate themselves to an extent. Like they have to be locked in and do their due diligence of work before they can accomplish anything. So, you know, I just want to hear your thoughts on that. What do you think about the isolation period to evolve to what you're trying to be?
Well, I think isolation's absolutely essential. I don't think that you're really ever going to level up. I don't really think you're ever going to level up at anything, man, until you give yourself isolation periods, or at least, when you're really working for something. Fortunately for me, like we talked about before, it was given to me, my isolation period. And something that I realized during that isolation period was, man, there's a whole lot of stuff going on inside my mind that really has nothing to do with like me and who I truly am. And you don't realize it till you isolate and you detach yourself from society, from your friends, from people in your school or people in your work. Because listen, I love, you know, I'm a God-fearing man. I got love and light in my heart for everybody. But let's be real here. Those people, most of those people aren't winning, man. They're not winning. And they're also always trying to impress upon you how they want you to think, how they want you to act, how they want you to feel. And that shit is not always in your best interest, man.
That's facts.
And because of all that constant pressure from the media, from people, from the radio, you know, from people that you know, from these expectations placed upon you from people you don't even know. You can maybe even behave in a way that's not truly you. You could maybe even not really know who you truly are and what you're supposed to be doing here on this planet. So once again, back to the confidence, get the isolation, detach yourself from all external influences. That is the way to figure out who you are and what you're supposed to be doing. And that way, when you step out into the world, you could do that confident in your purpose, because you know in your heart it's real, man. And everyone else's opinions turn to dust. And here's what happens, man. It's going to get hard. It's going to get difficult. People are going to hate on you, man. People are going to call you weird. You're going to feel like a loner. But that is the challenge, man. That is the struggle. That is the champion's work that must be done to rise above it all. That's the adversity. Maybe we're not in a war. Maybe we're not in a football game. Maybe we're not, in some glamorous event. But what's more important in your life here on this planet? Nothing, man. So go for it with your life like you would go for the championship of the world.
Man.
And watch out how your life changes exponentially.
No, I 1,000% agree with that, man. And that's, you been spitting facts, man. Y'all got to check it out. Y'all definitely got to check him out on his own podcast, Creating Greatness Podcast with Robert Prasch. Y'all got to check him out, man, because, hey, he be spitting knowledge on here. I'm telling you, as you can tell already, but Robert, man, look, I know we agreed to a specific time. I want to make sure I leave some space for anything I may have missed. We had a like kind of a script, not necessarily scripted or anything, but we had our points that we wanted to talk about. So I want to make sure I give you some time. If there's anything you wanted to add, if there's something like you had to get off your chest pertaining to the topic, I want to leave that time for you. So is there anything that you want to just mention regarding whether it's Deion Sanders, whether it's regarding a person and the way they live their life or the way that they're currently evolving or something that could possibly help them in their journey of evolving? I just want to leave that time for you. So I'm going to go ahead, lead the lane for you and let you go ahead, talk your talk.
Well, yeah, the only thing that you left out was now how do we do the steps? Because, we talked about, isolation's great. That's how you evolve. How do you level up? And here's a couple tips that I wrote down was, yes, the isolation, the separation from all things. And then maybe you find yourself a practice. And for me, it's the Trinity, man. It's meditation, it's prayer, and it's yoga. And absolutely. I know I talk a lot about physical fitness because I'm a personal trainer. But if I had to choose whether I go slanging weights like I did today in the gym or I had to do yoga, I can only do one, I would do yoga, man, because it's overall more beneficial to the mind and the body. And that added with prayer and meditation, you'd be all activated and you're ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That mind, body, and soul, getting it together, getting it in sync. I'm telling you.
In that practice, you'll learn yourself and do your work alone and your tribe will come. The last thing is the tunnel vision aspect that you were talking about. I think this is very interesting because I think that tunnel vision is oftentimes used in a positive way. Like I'm locked in, I'm tunnel vision, right? But to me, I think that tunnel vision could be a bad thing in certain scenarios because if you get totally locked in and focused on one thing and that total tunnel vision, you're not using your peripherals. I'd rather use the football philosophy of keeping my head on a swivel. And I don't mean just my head literally, but I mean my attention and my awareness. Because that way I'm in full focus and pursuit of my goal, but I'm not shutting down every other resource that I have to gather information. Because I need all this. The world's very chaotic. And for us to create order out of that chaos, we must be disciplined. We must be diligent. We must be focused. And that vision that you're talking about is one thing. But we can't shut down. We can't put on the blinders because there's too much going on. So keep that philosophy of tenacity and head on a swivel, and I think it'll get you further than tunnel vision, in my opinion.
Okay, yeah, and I like what you're saying too, and I do want to give a little pushback because I think it's about balance too. I like what you mean, what you said about the tunnel vision, because if you are overly focused, if you are only just like, as we said, been saying, locked in and got walls up on one thing, something has to sacrifice. Something's gonna sacrifice, and like I talk about it with my brother all the time. It's like, because he's doing his thing and he be focused and stuff too, but it's all about the balance, because if you are only looking at the one goal and you ignore everything else, you're going to push something away. You might push your family away. You might push other finances away. You might push friends away. And it's like, you're getting to the goal that you want to get to, but at what cost? Because like you shouldn't, and I'm a firm believer, you should never push good people away. Like if somebody's a good person, and then other things that's important to you are eventually going to get pushed away if you don't, like you said, keep your head on a swivel and be able to, look around every once in a while. So I 1,000% agree with that, man. And ultimately, I just want to tie that into balance. So I'm still agreeing with you, but just tying it into balance, man. And but man, ultimately, That's all we got on here for the Coach Prime thing. I want to leave the floor open for the people too. Anybody who listening, man, shoot us a call, 219-413-9405. Go ahead, leave a quick take. Maybe it's on something you heard. Maybe it's about some Deion Sanders news. There's a lot going on right now actually with him. He just won the Sports Illustrated Person of the, or Sports Player of the Year or something like that. I don't have it right here in my notes, but he also just won an award. People was kind of hating on him for that because they're like, oh, he only won 4 games and he don't deserve it. If you watch all the media and the pop culture media, you see he's getting a divorce right now. People got something to say about that. So above all, I definitely think it's still a lot of positive things to look at. But again, most importantly, y'all got to go check out Creating Greatness Podcast by Robert Prasch, man. He's been doing his thing. He's a hard worker. He be spitting plenty of game, as you can tell. But go ahead, check it out. And as far as you, Robert, I'm glad we can make this happen. Man, this was dope. This was so dope. I'm glad we got to go ahead and drop this episode.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. Anybody want to reach out, hit me up at Creating Greatness Podcast at Gmail. And Manny, thank you so much. I'll be looking forward to next time.
Of course, man. Hey, well, you already know we're going to have to bring you back on at some point. But but until then, man, hey, share this with a cousin, a brother, an aunt, an uncle, a niece, a nephew, a neighbor, anybody you're close to, anybody you're friends with. I promise you they will not mind, especially because we're going to be giving them a peace of mind in this episode. But until then, man, we will be back later on next week, and so on and so on and so on.